Facebook, is it launching a new cryptocurrency called Libra in a bid to create a global monetary system, a one world monetary system? As Vox.com put it, Facebook may have too many users for its cryptocurrency to fail, even if you do not trust it. The platform's unprecedented user base is the only global population that's big enough to organize around a single currency. It has 2 billion users. Listen, I cannot exaggerate this enough if I wanted to. I could not. Oh my gosh. I feel like people don't understand how big of a deal this is, how massive of a story this is, that Facebook is creating a currency and 28 massive companies are already supporting it. And what's even more interesting than that, and we're going to be dealing with this very much in this episode, is why would Facebook name their new cryptocurrency Libra? I don't think it's a coincidence that Facebook is naming it after an astrological zodiac sign, a system that revolves around the occult. Now, I think you may be shocked when you find out what is subliminally being said through Facebook naming this currency Libra. It's very eerie. And before we really dig into this, I do want to just take a quick little break and ask those that are watching this program to get behind us this month. The last couple of weeks have been slow. Thank you, Marcel. Thank you, Harold, for your contributions last week. And let me tell you right now that we literally, and I'm serious, we could not do this without our monthly partners giving through the mail, giving through our online avenues, whether it be PayPal, whether it be Tithely. We could not do this. Our base, our foundation is you, the monthly partners. Listen, if you want to get involved, please do so now. We need your help. These last couple of weeks have been slow, so please get behind us. Listen, this new currency, I believe it's going to be an omen of judgment. And joining me right after this is going to be Andrew Bellers to hash this out. I feel like I really probably shouldn't even have to say this, but nowhere in the Bible does God tell us to build our lives around moon phases and the signs of the zodiac as astrologers teach. But you see, Andrew, the new age has just infiltrated so much of the church where Christians think it's okay to believe in their zodiac sign and read their daily horoscopes. Listen, God does not want you to rely on your horoscopes for what the day and what the day brings for you. Yeah. Everything you need to know about your life, about the next steps of your life, are within the Word of God. God feels incredibly strongly about this. God hates astrology. Okay? Astronomy, good. Yeah. Astrology, bad. Listen to what God said in Isaiah chapter 47, verses 13 and 14. He said this: "All the counsel you have received has only worn you out. Let your astrologers come forward, those stargazers who make predictions month by month. Let them save you from what is coming upon you. Surely they are like stubble. The fire will burn them up. They cannot even save themselves from the power of the flame." You see, in Isaiah 47, God was speaking to the Babylonians who used astrology as part of divination and predicting the future. Now, Andrew, I don't have any reservations in believing that Facebook and other large media companies will be used by the Antichrist. Okay, I think that's kind of a common theme of thread of thought now. Right. So should we be surprised at all that the system supporting the end time, system would be occultic in nature? No, I don't think so. And that's why I think it shouldn't alarm us that Facebook is using a zodiac sign to name their new world currency. Do you know in astrology what this zodiac sign is marked by? So understand this. Of all zodiacs, there is only one marked by an inanimate object.
Right.
And it's the Libra, the new name for the cryptocurrency that Facebook is releasing.
Yeah.
Do you know what the Libra is marked by? It's marked by scales or judgment.
Yeah, and actually, if you look at, we'll probably throw it up here. If you look at the symbol for Libra, it's essentially just an underlined omega symbol. So omega is the last letter in the Greek alphabet.
Yeah.
It's a glyph, and basically what that is, it's a picture word, and it's a picture of a setting sun. So that's what Libra is, because it marks this season in time.
See, I just think that this is all, and we know in part, we prophesy in part, but listen, I'm telling you right now that Facebook, I feel like whether they know it consciously or subconsciously, they are setting us up for judgment. And maybe it's all orchestrated. Maybe it literally is a part of the Lord's plan. Because, let me tell you right now that no matter what you pray for or pray against, you can never come against the sovereign will of the Lord.
That's right.
There are certain things in life, like let's say you have, the Lord's will for your life is determined upon your decisions. Okay? It's a small stream that you can dam up, that you can avert somewhere else. You see, it's not the Lord's will for you to ever get an abortion. It's not the Lord's will for anybody to die on Skid Row from a meth overdose. You see, there are certain decisions that we can make in life that determine His will for our life. It's a little stream, so to speak, but there is a large rushing river of the Lord's will, His sovereign will, that no man can come against. For example, the revelation events. No matter what you do or don't do, the revelation events are going to come upon the earth. The day where people have to receive a mark to literally buy and sell anything within the world. And that mark is going to be a sign of worship unto the Antichrist.
Yeah.
You see, it's all setting us up. And I don't know exactly the end game of Facebook, but I do believe that we are in the end of times, and this will play a key. And I just think it's interesting that they're using an occultic sign, and it literally is the sign of scales, which is judgment. And the sign itself, like you said, is the omega.
Yeah, which is the end.
Exactly. You see, I want to, I think it's an omen of judgment. I think something bad is going to come from this. There's some points that I want to make of basically what people say on this stuff concerning Libra. The autumn equinox arrives each year in the sign of Libra. Apparently that's September 23rd. The scales of justice, or the balance, and it is the balance of the year. The two forces of light and darkness meet at the equinox. However, for one of those forces, it's time's up. The sun has been weighed in the balance and found wanting, as stated above. Yeah, I mean, it is that season. I mean, if you think about fall and winter, it's,
right.
4:45, 4:50, it's already dark out. So it is that dividing time within the year. But anyway, Libra, they say, this is occultic, okay? Now, like I said, this is what Facebook just named their cryptocurrency in a bid to have a one world monetary systems currency that Facebook would be the controller of, and 28 major companies
right.
are also involved. But get this, so Libra is the doorway or portal from light to darkness. The days become shorter than the nights at this point of the year in the northern hemisphere as summer gives way to autumn. It's at this point of the year that the sun heads down into autumn and winter, or in allegory, the scales of the year have tipped over to the dark side. Growth is no more. And I honestly do believe that season, I think that these tech companies they have the Antichrist spirit resting upon them. They would welcome this darkness. Facebook believes we are entering into a time of darkness. And like I said, I believe they're welcoming it. It's a time of judgment, ultimately putting their man in place and pledging allegiance to him. The question is this: does the Antichrist and the 10 kingdoms that rule with him, the system he controls, they literally think they can beat God. I mean, what a crazy thought.
Right.
They literally think that they can beat God that created it all. Have you ever thought about just how stupid that is? How stupid the Antichrist must be? And it's so interesting because I brought this book with me today because it reminds me that darkness, sin in the hearts of man blinds them to the goodness of Christ. I want to read this because it was very interesting. It's like, how stupid can these kings be? How stupid can the Antichrist be? How stupid can the world systems be to believe that they can actually beat the God of the universe?
How stupid can Satan be?
How stupid can he be? Listen to this. But this is, I think C.S. Lewis actually, it says this is Mere Christianity, and it's from the chapter Morality and Psychoanalysis. Listen, on page 93 I'm reading, it says this. When a man is getting better, he understands more and more clearly the evil that is still left in him. Absolutely, that's very true. But when a man is getting worse, he understands his own badness less and less. A moderately bad man knows he is not very good. A thoroughly bad man thinks he's all right. This is common sense, really. You understand sleep when you are awake, not while you are sleeping. You can see mistakes in arithmetic when your mind is working properly. While you are making them, you cannot see them. You can understand the nature of drunkenness when you are sober, not whenever you are drunk. Good people know about both good and evil. Bad people do not know about evil or either one.
Yeah, and that's a biblical concept. I mean, when you look at like the Pharisees, Jesus said, you know, if they said that, it's because they say that they see that they'll be judged, and they didn't. They were blind. I mean, you look at Saul becoming Paul, and the whole striking him blind and the scales falling off his eyes was a metaphor that when you are in the midst of darkness, you can't see.
Yeah, and I think that's what makes it like whenever you have the Antichrist, the son of perdition, literally being possessed by Satan himself, the darkest entity of it all, it's like you have no even understanding of what good is anymore. Yeah. All right, Andrew, let's dive into it. There's a few articles that we want to cover of really just getting into the more of the nitty-gritty about what is Libra, who is backing it. Tell us more about this cryptocurrency.
Yeah, so first let's talk about who's backing it, because this is huge. It says Facebook announces Libra cryptocurrency with a massive list of partners. So far there's 28. Their goal is 100. So it says Libra isn't just Facebook's project. It's backed by the Geneva, Switzerland-based Libra Association, nonprofit organization with a long list of founding members who will jointly make decisions over Libra. Besides Facebook, the list includes MasterCard, Visa, PayPal, Stripe, eBay, Uber, Lyft, Spotify, Coinbase, Zappo, among others. And like I said, the goal is to have at least 100 people in partnership with them.
Nothing like this has ever been done.
And that's scary because, you know, we've already talked about on this show how, MasterCard and PayPal have already targeted people that don't agree with them, conservative voices, and remove them from their services. And now those basically corrupt companies are joining with Facebook for this world currency. It's scary.
It is scary. Yeah, that was crazy. We just covered that a couple of weeks ago, that MasterCard can literally deny people access to their services based on political views that they would say are dissenting.
Yeah.
That they would say are not of their views. Isn't that crazy?
It's insane.
I mean, it's setting the world up so that people like you, people like me, cannot partake in their system.
Yeah.
Man. Okay. Listen, I have an article here. It's from Zero Hedge, and it's titled this. This is very interesting. This is kind of how it's going to all go down. It's probably not going to take off initially in America, and that's not their plan anyway. Libra, Facebook's crypto Trojan rabbit. So Libra is another attempt by the current banking establishment to slow the flow into the world of hard money. So Libra's supply will be regulated just like every other fiat currency. Also by nothing? Okay, no, but fiat currency by a central authority. Facebook already wants all your data, whether you're an account holder or not. Now they want to control your currency as well. The central bank of Facebook, okay? When you extrapolate out the power of Facebook's platform to where this coin will be marketed to emerging markets, Libra is looking for all the world like Facebook's application into the cartel of price-setting central banks. Now, Caitlin Long is a writer for Forbes, and she said something very interesting in an article. This is what she said. Facebook's currency will be a powerful force for good in developing countries, which is where Facebook intends to market the product. Now, why? Because central banks in developing countries are notorious for their lack of discipline in maintaining the value of their fiat currencies, which too often lose purchasing power. So the best example among many would be Venezuela, which is experiencing hyperinflation worse than that of Germany after World War I, by providing citizens of developing nations with access to a store of value that is more reliable than their government-backed currencies. Facebook's currency will indirectly exert fiscal and monetary discipline on developing nations, which will improve the lives of many people globally. Okay, so this is the rose-colored glasses. Think this through for 5 seconds. Okay? And you're going to get the obvious conclusion. Facebook and the Wall Street banks, which actually control it, are creating a coin to do away with national currencies in the countries most vulnerable to the Fed's control over the global monetary system. This is the next step. Facebook, what they're doing right now, is the next step in the quest to create a world currency.
Yeah, and that's exactly what it is. And they are painting it, as sort of this is going to be this massive force for good. And really they look at companies like Venezuela and they say that's low-hanging fruit.
Yeah.
That's
other countries of the similar, and it's going to be countries, in northern Africa as well.
Yeah. And that's essentially what it is. It's like we can start there because they're vulnerable. And then of course, I have another article here. It says Facebook unveils its most invasive and dangerous form of surveillance yet. So this is to establish
surveillance
as well as a currency. It says the currency, as we said, is known as Libra, which the social network says it has no special role in governing. I don't believe that. I don't know if you do. Says it will manage equally with a group of big companies. But experts have branded the move a dangerous power grab that marks Facebook's most invasive form of surveillance. Yeah, this is Phil Chen. He's the decentralized chief officer at HTC. And this is what he said. If you're concerned with Facebook knowing too much or having too much access to your private data or social graph, the global coin... and we're going to get to that. But Libra...
Well, I'll just say it right now. It's not... We just say it since you already said it right here, that Libra, which is what they've decided to name this cryptocurrency, it was initially called global coin.
Yeah.
I mean, if this isn't just... How much more foreshadowing of end-time events could you do for us, Facebook? I mean, this is...
Not much more.
It's like you're reading an end-times novel.
Exactly. And so he says that Libra will give Facebook even more direct access to your financial information. It's not just access to the information of your transactions, it's direct access to your wealth and capital. If the top line question about Facebook and antitrust is about whether to break it up and spin it off of the likes of WhatsApp and Instagram, well, this global coin, or Libra, is the most invasive and dangerous form of surveillance they have devised thus far. This will easily become the most dangerous antitrust case in history. If this is launched and adopted worldwide, we're bound to see Facebook as the top 10 biggest companies for the next 100 years that have complete ownership of the customer and their data, from their social graph to every transaction recorded through Facebook, WhatsApp, and Instagram. This project is the antithesis of Bitcoin and is another step toward total control of data and users.
Mm-hmm. People that, they study World War II, they look at like someone like Hitler, Andrew,
Right.
and what he did in Germany, it was a parallel to the Antichrist and his system, the way he's going to operate. It was a smaller parallel, but a parallel nonetheless. I think about, is Facebook a parallel or is it the real thing? I don't know. But what I do know is this: you have an entity like Facebook with 2 billion users who they manage what is truth and what are lies, what is fake news and what is not fake news, which they literally deem my news that would be truthful news
Right.
as fake news. So the censorship is already there in an overwhelmingly fashion. I'm not telling you anything you don't know. Well, now what if that same company that has 2 billion users now controls the monetary systems of the world? They, like you said, they already know your views. They already know your likes, your dislikes. They know the things you purchase, and they know through the cookies that you leave on all of your websites. Why do we see advertisements on Facebook of things that, it's like, oh, I'm trying to buy a new pair of Nikes, and I researched it 3 days ago. Now I'm on Facebook and I'm seeing some Nike ads. How they know so much about you. So now what if we give that exact same company, which has the Antichrist spirit upon them, complete control over our finances? Listen, I'm telling you right now, whether it is just another parallel or it is the reality, there is coming a day where no one can buy or sell without pledging allegiance to a system. This is radical stuff. All right, I want to read a couple of more things for you. Just very, very simple. So how will it be used? Let's make it very simple. How will Libra be used initially? So users will be able to send Libra via Facebook products, like you were saying, such as WhatsApp and Messenger. Reports also claim that a number of partnerships with online retailers will allow users to spend the coin in many locations online. Hence, there are partnerships with PayPal and what's just eBay as well, and MasterCard and such. Facebook is reportedly also considering developing ATM-like physical machines in which people can convert their regular money into Libra. Now, this is going to take a dramatic turn if Facebook ever persuades, suggests, or possibly even forces their 2 billion users. Now, when I say forces their 2 billion users to use Libra, I don't mean force their users in the sense of a dictator or whenever we think of communism. I'm saying the same way Netflix forces you to pay $12.99 for a subscription. Okay, right. I'm not talking about like a dictator fashion, but what happens whenever Facebook forces its users to use a small amount of Libra? Not fully dedicating their lives into this new currency, but hey, you just have to have a little bit of cryptocurrency. Familiarize yourself with cryptocurrencies, how it works. Familiarize yourself with the crypto wallets you put it in. Familiarize yourself with it. A lot of the times things don't happen because people are unknown. They're unfamiliar with the subject at hand. What happens? I'm telling you, whenever we see that point, it's going to be a radical escalation.
Because immediately you'd have, 2 billion users?
Exactly.
Immediately using Libra.
Exactly. I want to end the last few minutes of the program by sharing something, and it's a common misconception that Revelation chapter 6, you have the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse. That third horseman is characterized by famine. I don't necessarily think, and I'm going to explain it to you, that there is going to be a lack of food. Well, famine, Zach, well, stay with me. I think famine is not always caused by lack of food. Famine is also caused by hyperinflation. I want to read this to you. So this is the third seal, the third horseman. Revelation chapter 6, verse 5. This is the black horse. It says, now whenever he opened the third seal, I heard the third living creature say, come and see. So I looked, and behold, a black horse. And he who sat on it had a pair of scales. There's that word again. I wasn't even tying that together, but that's interesting because it's judgment through, well, I believe it's hyperinflation here, not necessarily the lack of food. Let me explain it. He who sat on it had a pair of scales in his hand. And I heard a voice in the midst of the 4 living creatures saying, a quart of wheat for a denarius, and 3 quarts of barley for a denarius, and do not harm the oil and wine. So now in more modern English, let's read that from the New Living Translation. And I heard a voice from among the 4 living creatures, or for the 4 living beings, saying, a loaf of bread, a loaf of wheat bread, or 3 loaves of barley will cost a day's pay. And don't waste the olive oil and wine. So a loaf of bread or 3 loaves of barley will cost a day's pay. This is kind of the same line as Matthew 24:7, where it says, well, nation will rise against nation, kingdom against kingdom, and there will be famines, pestilence, and earthquakes in various places. So now, this is what you need to kind of get from this. Like I've said, famine doesn't always come from bad weather conditions. Famine can also come as a result of hyperinflation. The food is there. It's there. It just is incredibly expensive. Now, how did you come away with that, Zach? Well, listen, the Revelation events are not for just one small geographical location. Whenever you're reading about Revelation events, when I'm talking about the book of Revelation, the judgments, it's judgments that aren't coming on this country or just the Middle East, like some may think. It's judgments upon the entire world. So whenever you have a judgment coming upon the entire world, the scripture is for everybody living on the earth. So if everybody living on the earth can work a day's wages and receive a loaf of bread, every single person, that means that the bread is still everywhere. The food is everywhere. Everyone can still get a loaf of bread. It just costs a day's wages. So the bread is there, the food is there, it's just hyperinflation. And now some might say, well, war could cause hyperinflation, and well, that's actually the horseman right beforehand.
Yeah.
But it also can be manipulated. And it can be manipulated for anybody.
Yeah.
I think this is all plays into what's taking place here with Facebook.
I mean, especially if you had a currency that really started to gain some steam and started knocking other currencies out of the way, all of a sudden the dollar or the yen or whatever has no value because people don't trust it anymore. That would 100% cause inflation.
Exactly. So we're out of time for today, and I just want to make this statement. I don't know where this Libra thing is going, but I do not have a good feeling about it. And whether it's Libra or what Libra leads to, I do not have a good feeling about it. And it's just something that we are definitely going to need to watch, and we'll continue giving you updates as there's new developments. Please, like I said at the beginning of the program, if you're not a monthly partner, would you consider becoming a monthly partner with this show? And even if you just want to give a one-time gift, please do that. Just go to ZachDrewShow.com and click that bright orange donate button. You can either do it through PayPal or Tithely, or just write us the old-fashioned way and make it out to IGBY, which stands for I go before you, a promise that God gave Joshua in Deuteronomy while leading the Israelite people, leading the Jews that were wandering in the desert. He said, I will go before you. Do not be afraid. Be courageous. And that's what I believe that we're doing. We're leading a wandering generation into the promised land. And that promised land today, that's Jesus.
Yeah.
It is. Now, you can just make it out to IGBY, and that's P.O. Box 797, Decatur, Illinois, 62525. We are out of time for this week. We'll see you next time.